When Thomas Massie came out against the CARES Act, I think the big thing that he was saying that he was worried about was people weren't able to vote in person, or they said they couldn't. And Thomas Massie was like, this is the most expensive bill we've ever passed of this kind, and people don't even want to come in to vote. And, Trump had tweeted that he's a second or third rate Republican. I can't remember what rate, and that, Massie should be kicked out of the GOP. And Thomas has always had like a
That's
good,
wild.
yeah, he always had a good attitude about it, but that is wild. I was going to ask what you thought about
Yeah,
that.
that's absolutely wild. The idea that Thomas Massie should be kicked out of the GOP is just something that should never be uttered by a single person who claims to be conservative. And now it's obviously Trump. He likes to do hot takes, and if he feels insulted, he kind of punches without even paying attention to who he's possibly punching. But that is a wild take. It is a garbage take. It should not be accepted by any conservative who follows Thomas Massie. He's wonderful.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you. I tried to tell him this was constitutional and we needed to do it this way, and it would still pass anyway because most people were for it. We just couldn't break the Constitution today. And he repeated, I'm coming at you like you've never seen.
On that note, I wanted to ask, because I thought, to your credit, you were probably one of, or the only person on the right that I've seen give a decent interview to Trump where you asked him about Julian Assange, which was a great question that I don't think anyone asked him until that point. And you also asked him about the vaccine. I'm just going to read a few quotes from it. And then also, I saw your YouTube video about how like he was a little upset at you kind of trying to defend him after it. I thought you were coming to his defense and maybe he got a little upset.
I was.
Right. So I'm going to read these quotes and then just you could tell me if you want about like what happened there. So he said it was one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
The vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
And then it said, look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine. So that put you kind of in a pickle where.
Look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you do get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine.
What about the masking of children?
Then the media was covering it. You kind of came to his defense. And then I think you said on YouTube, he got a little upset possibly. Just you tell the story, not me.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was really immature on Trump's part.
Trump actually got upset with me that actually what I was saying was a defense of him so that his supporters would still believe in him.
First and foremost, I gave him a very fair interview. I asked questions that I felt really reflected the concerns of the voters at that time. Obviously, we were coming out of COVID. A lot of things were really crazy, forcing vaccines upon people. People that follow me in my show know that I don't vax my children at all. I very much cover the big pharma scam. People think it began with the COVID vaccine. It began before, but not to get deep into that. But this was obviously something that I really want to talk to him about because he kept pushing this vaccine. I do want to say, to be fair to him, this is the person who was a leader of the free world. All of the experts he was surrounding himself with, who he's supposed to surround himself with, people that are smarter than him, right, when making up these sorts of decisions, were telling him that this is going to essentially be a plague. The bubonic plague was coming. And when you are given that little bit of knowledge, of course, you want to trust the experts. You want to believe with him. So I don't want to be the person that's like, well, it's just so easy to make a decision and to say absolutely not. I do believe that if I was president of the United States, I still would have never shut down the government. I was very much against him in doing that, because then if you ever have a Democrat president, they're going to say, and they want to shut down the government arbitrarily, they're going to say the Republicans did first. It is always the right of the individual to be able to decide whether or not they want to get up and risk their lives to go to work. That's just, if you're going to die from a plague, you have a right to go out and sell coffee if you think making money for your family is bigger. So I asked him that question, meaningfully. And he kind of just went into an ad for how great he was, right? And like, I got this out and it was the fastest. And I think in his mindset, he was very much in like campaign mode, which is like, he does this a lot of times. He lists his accomplishments and he wasn't hearing me. And he was instead focused on listing his accomplishments. And obviously the media, which was so pro big pharma, loved this. They seized upon it and they published all of these articles about how even Jen Psaki tweeted what he said in my interview and was like, yep, great, go get your vaccine. And so he got blowback from his own supporters who were still feeling, as I was trying to express to him, that this is actually wrong. We didn't know anything about this vaccine. It was completely rushed. And it would have been a great time for him to reflect and say, really what I just said in his defense is like, we only knew what we knew at the time. But yeah, so that was kind of a disaster situation.
Not only was he just mad, by the way, he then, during a golf session with some mutual friends of ours. And eventually he was like, yeah, I'm so mad at Candace. I'm so mad at Candace. And this got back to me that he was upset with me, that he was angry at me. And the next time that I saw him, he was quite rude to me.
Is he still upset at you, you think, or?
I'm sure he's moved on. I mean, if he picked me as an enemy, that would be a little bit ridiculous. I'm sure he's moved on from it by now. But I didn't like it. I thought that it was just poor character, and he should have just said it's totally fine and actually really cool for people to admit that they don't always get things right, or that they missed something, or that they're listening to other people and their feedback. I try to do it all the time. We can't know everything in every single moment. And I think that he struggles to do that. But I try to be understanding in that struggle, because he's also had to deal with just a complete onslaught of attacks from the very moment that he announced that he was running. And so I think he finds everyone to be suspicious and kind of has become a bit paranoid even about his own friends.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.